Hey everyone, Dan Lavai here and welcome to the Niunet Podcast, the podcast where we talk to interesting people doing interesting things in and around PNG. Our guest for today is a young author who has written 2 books, and he is the author of Rise Above the Average and Faith Through the Storm. He's very passionate about writing and inspiring others like him. So yes, please make welcome Mr. Nigel Vicine.
Thank you, Dane, for having me. I'm excited and happy to be here as well. My name is Nigel Vicine. For those who don't know me, I'm Nigel. I come from a mixed parentage of Central and Chimbu. I am currently second year student at Pacific Adventist University, which I major in accounting entrepreneurship.
Just to start things off, Nigel, when did you start writing? Writing in general, was this something that you were always passionate about or had an interest in?
When I was in grade 9, I had a dream of writing a book someday. So by the time when I was in grade 11, I set a goal to write a book after completing my grade 12. After completing my grade 12, that's when I started writing my first book.
Ah, wow. And I'm curious, how was that journey of writing the book? I mean, the very first one, Rise Above the Average, you said after grade 12, so I just wanted to ask, how soon after you graduated did you start working on that one?
Took about, after a month, I had to sit and think and to plan the book.
Mm-hmm.
So after a month, I started doing my planning of how I can go about writing my book.
Now, if you don't mind, I do want to get a bit more technical with the process of how you went about writing it. I mean, for those who don't know what it's like to have experienced writing a full, proper book, usually you mentioned a month of planning. So what did that involve?
So firstly, I have to think about the topic, what I'm going to write about.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually sit and brainstorm all the ideas. And then from there I started to structure my sentences and all the paragraphs and all that. Then I come up with a book, writing each chapters, and then I have to put all the chapters together to come up with a book.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice. Without explaining too much or spoiling the book for those who haven't read it, could you just tell me a bit about what the first book is about, Rise Above the Average?
Basically the first book is about it's an educational book to help students, those who are struggling,
Mm-hmm.
especially with their educational performance and academic performance and attitude in school. So when I was in grade 10 and 11, I realized something about school they call cult system.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, why not I write a book on that, so I can help to bring those students who are struggling with poor grades and also those with negative attitude,
Mm-hmm.
to bring them out, to lead them out in a positive direction. So I started writing this book. So that's where the inspiration came from.
Nice. Rise Above the Average. So would you say that your target audience are those who are currently in school?
In school. The primary ones and high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. Now I did want to ask, what was the journey like when you started proper production on the first book?
It's been a bit challenging for me, in terms of financial and also in writing as well. So I had to reach out to many authors, other authors like Shane Biber and others, authors like Marcel and all that, to write, to get some ideas and to continue the journey of writing.
Man, because there's not a lot of it's a very small community of writers, especially contemporary PNG writers. Many people might be familiar with the older names or the people who wrote books in the past, but many of those people are sadly not with us anymore. So it's good that you managed to reach out to those who are still writing and they've managed to help you out with that. Now, Nigel, you've told me about the first book, but I do want to ask the second book, Faith Through the Storm. What is the topic or what do you talk about in this book?
It's about Faith Through the Storm is a book that is written based on my life experience, how I have faced challenges and overcame challenges. So it's about how to help people face their challenges and overcome their challenges as well.
Oh, nice. Now that's good to hear, because I do believe that everyday people, they do have their struggles and they go through many different things, and then unfortunately a lot of them don't have positive ways of dealing with their struggles or ways to overcome their difficulties. So I think having your option, like a book just to help with, like, okay, this is what you can do in case of situations like this. Now, you mentioned your own struggles, and I'm curious regarding to connected to the production of the books. What were some of the biggest hurdles? You mentioned financially, but was there anything else that was like an obstacle in your way when you were working on these?
In terms of writing as well, I had to reach out to the other authors as well. Because writing is it's not like what will I say? It's my first time to write a book, so I had to reach out to other authors for help and guidance. So that's one of the challenges that I faced.
Oh man, I can imagine, especially like when you have that initial idea, but then you're not sure how writing on a book properly works. How many pages a chapter is supposed to be, or something like that, or how many what's the word, if there is a word limit, like what's the word limit, or how large this is supposed to be, that kind of thing. And I definitely understand that. Now, Nigel, one question I do have is that a lot of people might not know how to go about or what goes into getting a book published and like turning those ideas or thoughts in your head into like a physical book that you're now like people are reading and consuming. So how did that come about? Like when you had that initial idea, how did you manage to find a publisher?
So came across through Glenn Brewer. Came across, and I saw one of his books that he got it published through Shane Biver. So I had to reach out to Glenn to ask him about the publisher. So through Glenn, I was connected to Shane. So from there, I got my book published.
And then, so how does I am curious more on the business side of things from your experience. Could you just explain to people how a publisher works and how that relationship is with the author?
Basically, the publisher used to normally what publisher does is he gets the manuscript. After you complete the manuscript, you have to send it to the publisher. So from there, he has to work on the book manuscript. Then after that, he has to send the manuscript back to you. You have to read through and then confirm everything. Final run check, and then after that, you have to let the publisher know that if it's okay, then I will do the publication process.
Man. And usually how long does that take, that back and forth?
About 6 weeks.
Okay.
For a publisher to edit the manuscript and all that.
Wow. And then I am curious, who's the one who sets the deadlines, or
the publisher himself?
Okay, so the publisher. Okay, man. And is the Shane? Apologies. Shane Biver Publishing House, are they the ones who also published the first book?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. No, because it's such an interesting thing, especially in this day and age. I feel like this method of doing things would be more common knowledge like 20, 30 years ago. But then now since everything is digital now, a lot of things, I wouldn't say forgotten, but this part of the process isn't highlighted enough. And so I feel like, especially for those who want to write something and they might not know how to get this stuff physically done up like how your stuff is done up now. So you said 6 weeks, just about 6 weeks.
6,
Man. And in terms of production, like when they start printing, how does that work? Like, are you the one to get the first copy, or how does that usually work?
After they do the printing, they used to give a call. So I have to go to them and to see if everything's okay. So from there, I used to pick up all the copies of my books.
Man, because I think before you came in for the interview, you were doing some runs, actual delivery runs, man. And so I have to ask, is your book available anywhere physically, or is it essentially like you heading out and selling?
Basically I used to deliver the books to the customers who wish to purchase. So I used to, that's what I do. So right now I don't have my books in stores or anywhere else, but I am the one delivering the books to the customers.
No, I think I mentioned earlier. I know what that's like to be running around and delivering to customers. But I think when you were working on your first book, you weren't out and about delivering. So how has it been since, like, after releasing the first book? How has it been doing delivery runs at the same time while also working on book 2? Like, when book 2 was still in production, how was that like?
Oh, it was exhausting. It was challenging, difficult as well. During the daytime, I have to go around the city to deliver the books, and at night times I would sit and in front of my computer and started working on my second book. So that's how I go about writing, and then selling my books as well.
Man, and if I'm correct, around that time you were also still studying, right?
Yeah.
Ah, man. And I did want to ask, and now that doing deliveries is now part of the process now, how have you found the reception of the book? How have the audience been receiving your books?
Basically, all my books that are customers that have purchased, I used to ask for a feedback. So the feedback that I got from the customers, it was positive. So they I believe that all my books have my 2 books have helped those who have purchased in terms of motivation and encouraging them.
Yeah, no, I have to say there's not a lot of, from what you've told me of the books, I haven't read part 1 or this one yet. I think before the interview started, like, the copies you see in on camera now are the ones for the office. So I have not yet read them, but from what you've told me, it seems like it's a very positive message, and that that type of content isn't available. No, I wouldn't say available, but it's not as shared, especially from a PNG perspective as well. Like, knowing the same struggles, like living in PNG. So I think it has that novelty, and I think that's the overall positive effect. So hopefully it can help people as well. And then from what you said, it seems like it is helping people, which is a very good thing. Now, Nigel, like you just mentioned, and like I mentioned earlier, running around and doing deliveries is mainly how customers can get their hands on a book. But I am curious how the arrangement is with your publisher, whereas I did want to ask, when the book is in your hands, or once it's yours, and then when you sell to a customer, like, I'm not asking if where the money goes, but essentially once the money is in your hands, like, what's the process after that? Like, does it go into printing more copies, or like what happens after that?
So basically after doing the sales from the books, I used to get the money and then pay for some more copies to come. That's what I do.
Okay. Because I think that's one other question I had, because just how books work and how books can, like, how the authors are looked after once the books are done. So I'm glad you explained that, so that, because I think, like, you mentioned earlier that one of the biggest struggles was financial struggles. So I'm assuming that you could only print as many as you could, like, money you could put forward.
So what publisher does is he's the one that prints after you pay for the publication cost. He then prints the books and then deliver to you. Then you have to do the sales your own. So from whatever sales that you got from the book, that's yours. So you can either pay for the books to publish more copies, or to have the money as your to do other things as well.
When you initially started working on the first book, did you realize that, especially, before we started recording, you said that the copies of the first book sold out. So I was just wondering, did you imagine that, not that it would sell out, but did you imagine that, oh wow, it's a thing now, like it's making its own money, and it's looking after itself, like it's paying for its own copies?
At first, I never thought I would sell as many copies as I could, but then after people have been requesting to purchase, and also some organizations have requested to purchase almost 1,000 copies, so I was surprised.
And like you mentioned earlier, For now, you're doing the physical deliveries yourself. But are there any plans in the future to at least have an arrangement made with like a store or bookstore, just to have your physical copies also like in a spot?
Yeah. Currently, I'm planning to open my small library, maybe in 1 year time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe next year. That's what I'm been planning to do.
Ah, nice. That's good to hear. I think that too as well. Libraries aren't a common thing, especially in PNG. I think I remember I had a look around the national library in Waigani, and like it's the only one there. Like that's the one, and then the only other libraries you'll find are in schools or universities as well. So I think we need more libraries. So I'm glad to hear that you have that in the works as well.
That's my plan for the future. Maybe next year to open a small bookshop. Yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
So I can direct all my customers to a location. Yeah, instead of going around delivering door-to-door steps. So I'm exhausting, tiring as well.
And how long has because now you have I'm just thinking of it more from the business side of things. Now that you have 2 books that you're selling now, how's the demand been? Like, has it increased now that people realize that you have 2 to sell now?
Yeah, for the first book, I've sold about 300 copies. And at the moment, there are some companies and libraries have requested to purchase some more copies of my first book. So for my second book, I've sold about 20 copies now. Since it came out just 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's my second book. Yeah.
Man, 2 weeks. Oh no, I have to say no. Congratulations, man. No. Because there's not a lot of people I know who like they start something and then they're also selling it and then they're out there. Yeah. And then because I remember that when you came to the office, like it's hot sun right now, so I was like, no, bro, relax. I know what it's like to be running around and delivering these things. So no, that's very good to hear that you're the one like out there. What's it called? Selling the book and doing everything you can, man. But to link it back to a previous question I had, now that you're selling these 2 books, you also have a third one in the works.
Yeah. Currently, I'm working on my third book. Soon going to be out in June. Yeah. Title of my third book is Run After Your Dreams. Yeah. The book is basically about those who can go about how they can achieve their dreams. Yeah. In whatever field that they dream of. Yeah.
Man. Oh, that's good. And I understand. I mean, I'm sure you're not. There's more on the way. I'm sure you have more planned, and that's good to hear. Now, one thing I did want to ask is, along with the support that you've had with publishing and then reaching out to some authors and all that stuff, are there any other challenges you've had to overcome in terms of? Because I'm thinking about the title of your first book, and I'm just imagining how you said about how the first book is about telling young people that there's other ways to do things and to stay positive. And I'm curious, were there moments where maybe you were discouraged by other people to do this, or was it like how did that ever come about when you were working on the first book?
Yeah, faced a lot of challenges. I was criticized by my own families as well, my friends as well. When I first started writing my first book, many told me that you are just wasting your time. So I didn't. I kept to myself. Didn't wanna hear about their criticism and all that negative stuff. So I had to focus. I know where I was going. So I didn't wanna. I blocked all the negativity out. So I had to stay focused, and I know where I was going. So after publishing my book, those who have criticized me and those who have said negative about me, they started to telling me that, oh, I believe in you. You can do it. I know. That's some of the challenges that I faced. Yeah.
Man. And I think what you just described is something that a lot of other people, especially on the creative side of things, like maybe musicians as well and visual artists as well, have also faced similar personal struggles with regard to who is in their lives, like you mentioned, their family and friends and all that. And I think I've been on a similar journey as well, where like nothing would get done if you listen to all those other people, and if you didn't have I call it the tunnel vision. If you didn't have the tunnel vision, and if you listened to them, then you wouldn't have had these 2 books, and now a 3rd one on the way. So it's always good to hear creative and passionate people. Like it's one thing to be creative and passionate, but then it's also another thing to stick to your guns and like make sure that what I'm doing is you believe what you're doing, and you're not letting other people dictate or put you down. And then there, like I said, this is the direct result of that, and that's something to be very proud of. But Nigel, yes, I think we've come to the end of the interview. Thank you so much for your time. And before we go, like you mentioned, you're the man out in the streets delivering your books and doing the runs. So how can the general public reach you if they're POM based? How can they reach you to get their hands on a copy of either book 1 or book 2?
To purchase a copy of my book, you can find me on Facebook at Nigel Vicine, or call me on my number 737529963.
Awesome. And yes, Nigel, thank you so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to the 3rd book, and I'm looking forward to reading this and then hopefully getting our hands on the 1st book, because then, like you said, that's already sold out. So yeah, hopefully we'll hit you up and get our hands on the 1st book as well, and when the 3rd one comes out. But yes, thank you so much for coming, man.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me as well.
It was a pleasure. And yes, that is the end of this episode of the Niunet Podcast. And we'll catch you in the next one.